What up, y'all?
Welcome
To the J&O Show.
where we talk about.
In the first clip we have, yes, there's more than one. We have a lady sitting here crying about how bad life is right now because she done left her husband and she out here in these streets and don't nobody in the streets love her. In the second clip, we have a lady breaking down the possible thought process that may have led her to this bad situation. Is it 100% on a lock? I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know.
You're gonna have to watch and see if you think that it actually fits. I try to put the puzzle pieces together, but did they go smoothly or was I trying to bang the piece in there?
Make sure you stay to the end so you can see how it all unfolds. Push play.
I just came to the realization that, like, if you're 40 years old, you're never gonna find love. Like, oh my god. Sorry.
Pause. The sentence was crazy. If you're 40 years old, you're never gonna find love.
Ouch.
That was a crazy sentence.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say that, sis. I mean, it might be difficult in these streets, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's kind of rough.
I mean, it's a lot of single people out there in their 40s now because a lot of people just didn't get married, and then there's a lot of people getting divorced.
That's true.
Because they want to be happy. It's more difficult with more y'all out there. That's wild.
Well,
Sorry, I woke up like really emotional because I was married for, oh my god, I need to stop. I was married for over 20 years and like I was so used to being a wife. Like I loved being married, you know? Like I love being a wife. I love having like that one person I love coming home to and like venting all my to. And now it's like, yeah, you date people and like sparks fly and then it's just,
Hold on. That didn't make sense. I don't understand. What? Did he leave her?
I don't know, but it say part 1, so I'm assuming it's a part 2.
She
And
left
it says-
her 20-year marriage to find
Oh,
better,
okay.
only to realize she came back as the side chick. It still don't make sense though. You can't say I love being married. I was married for over 20 years. It was so great to come home to one person and then leave to find better.
You know what? I'm done.
Well, I mean, it don't have to make sense.
That doesn't make sense.
Nowadays, it don't. Wow. We say make it make sense all the time because a lot of times it don't make sense because people be doing stuff and stuff don't make sense. But you know, hey, it is what it is.
and it's just like, oh, I found better, you know?
This is another classic case of a woman who had a loyal husband, a stable home, and 20 years of shared history and still said, I'm bored. So she left. Why? Because the spark was gone. Ma'am, it's a marriage, not a fireworks display. Then she met some new guy who gave her butterflies, which, let's be honest.
I don't know if he's adding or if that's something she actually shared. I don't know.
Yeah, we don't know. But one thing I do want to put out there for all of our married folk that might be newlyweds, like new to the game, or those of you who are considering getting married, or
Because this is the channel
by married people.
for married people and people who want to be married. Yeah.
We ain't been married that long, but we've been married long enough.
We close. We coming up on 20 in a few months.
Say it with your chest, baby. Say it with your chest. Say it with your
Going
chest.
coming up on 20. We coming up on 20 in a few months, y'all now. But we've been together over 20.
Yeah, but just something to put out there because one of the reasons why we started this channel is because when we first got married, we was going through some things and we was just like, like this what marriage is about? And then like it was stuff that we didn't really know was normal or common. And as we would hang out with like some of our other coupled friends, married couples and things of that nature, and you know, we hang out and we end up talking and stuff like that, we come to find out that a lot of us were going through the same thing. And we were just like, yo, why isn't this common knowledge? So that's one of the reasons why we started this channel, because we was just like, yo, we need to put this information out there so people know that these things are common. And when it happens, it's not a red flag. It means that, oh my gosh, I made a mistake, I need to get a divorce. They say the first 5 years are the roughest.
Not for us.
I don't know. I was gonna say, I don't know if that's 100% true. Maybe it is for some people. Our rough patch didn't come till year 10. Okay, so our first 7 to 8 years, we were coasting. Like everything was beautiful. Granted, we didn't have kids until
Till 7. Yeah.
until year 7.
Yep.
And when you add kids into the mix,
That's when things get rough.
changes things. And sometimes when people are in a relationship for, you know, when they're married for a long time and things are kind of rocky, they're just like, oh, well, maybe we just need to have kids. And like that'll fix it.
This is a really
really bad idea.
No.
Trust me, you don't want that smoke.
Don't do that.
Don't do it.
That is the worst mistake that you can make.
Bad idea.
Get it together first, then bring kids in, because kids add a whole nother world to your relationship that you and your spouse are not going to be prepared for. I don't care how many books you read. I don't care how much conversations you have with your parents, with your grandparents, with your aunties, with your uncles. It's nothing like when you get that new little person in your life that's with you 24/7 that don't know nothing. And when I say know nothing, I mean literally nothing. Okay, that you literally have to pour everything into. It's a lot. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful experience, especially as they grow and you see like, wow, you know, and you and your partner, you and your spouse, you and your husband or your wife, you have to be on the same page if you want to be able to do that thing successfully. Because if not, it will end up being the demise of your relationship, of your marriage.
Yeah, that's true.
Oftentimes, a lot of people, when they do get divorced and they say, what is it, irreconcilable differences or what have you, it's usually because they've grown apart. And they've grown apart because they've been doing the parenting thing for the last 18 years and they've lost sight of their spouse. And worse off, if they started, you know, the whole process with them having kids, if they started it and they were already on a rocky road, it's only going to get worse. So that's a little sidebar, not so much, but don't use your kid to think that things are going to make it better. Make it better first. Things are not going to be perfect. It's not going to be 100% perfect, but just make sure that you and your spouse are on the same page and that you guys are seeing eye to eye, you know, on things and talk.
What I will say is a lot of people say stuff like, I put my kid first above the person that I'm with. I actually think that's a mistake. And the reason I think that's a mistake is because it is a natural thing to put your kid first because they're defenseless, they don't know anything, and you have to guard them from everything. I think the problem is it's so easy to start being on your kid's side against the person that you're with. I believe that it's better for you to try because it's not going to come natural and it's not going to come easy.
Especially for women.
Yeah, it's not going to be natural. It's not going to be easy to try to put your mate first. What will happen more often than not is you and your mate will end up making shared sacrifices.
Right.
And you'll also have a clear enough head to be able to attack every issue you have, especially when it comes to parenting together. What happens when you say my kid is first is you start trying to cover the children and defend them against even your mate, which becomes an issue, especially when it comes to things like discipline, because you put yourself in a position where you don't believe your child should be disciplined or not disciplined a certain way, and you stop working together and you start working against. A lot of marriages that break up like right after the kids leave, that's a lot of times what happened. And I think that it's something that's avoidable. To be honest, it's going to be very difficult to ever really legitimately put your mate before your kids, but it'll put you in a mindset of we're doing this together. So how are we going to handle this problem?
Right. But yeah, y'all, don't throw in the towel when things get rough. You're going to go through rough patches. You just have to push past it and surround yourself with like-minded people who are striving to have a good relationship, a good marriage. For those of my Christian folk, God-fearing, Bible-thumping people, what have you, have believers basically in your corner to be able to help you through those rough patches. It helps if you have some people who've been married longer than you as well. So that way they can kind of give you game and let you know like what's normal, what's not normal, and like, hey, like you might want to consider doing this or you consider doing that.
Women think the relationship is all about them. They do. Everything is centered around what she wants. And if that's fine, in her mind, everything is cool. And she does not care what the man is going through. She don't care what his challenges are or any of those things. So what ends up happening, the male believes that he keeps the marriage together because if he goes to cheat or whatever, like those 41 shades, for different reasons, they left you with the marriage because the marriage was all you wanted. You didn't actually want the man. You wanted the marriage. The fairy tale.
Now, there's a reason I put the two of these together. Because I was trying for the life of me to understand how the sis in the first one was saying that she loved being married. And she was married for 20 years. And she still left. And on the timeline, this came next. I didn't look for this. Like when I scrolled down next, this was the very next clip. And I was like,
well, now it makes sense.
You know, the algorithm be doing that.
yeah. Y'all, marriage ain't, a lot of times it ain't what y'all think it is. It's really
what you
not.
Make it.
Marriage is what you make it. Right.
It's not the Disneyfication, as we like to call it. It's not what you see in the movies. It's not what you see on Disney. As far as like, you know, the fairy tale with the Prince Charming and all that stuff. Don't get me wrong. You can have aspects or elements of those things, but that's not real life.
All marriages are complicated.
Like I was saying earlier, I think with sis in the first one that left, it may not necessarily even be the idea of what she's saying here, basically, that she was in love with the idea of marriage and not necessarily the person. I don't think that's necessarily the case, because as I was just saying as well, a lot of times what'll happen is, I don't know if the first lady, if she had children, that's a whole nother ball game, but you can grow apart. It's not that she wasn't in love or she didn't love her husband. You can grow apart. When you keep going through those rough patches, and if you never fix the issue, if you never really address those rough patches and you just keep on going from one patch from one to the next, like it can drive a wedge between people. So I don't necessarily think that it's always the case where the woman is going to leave because she didn't love the guy.
Like, I'm not saying it's most women or anything like that. I'm just thinking that this is something that we're seeing a lot with a lot of these women who say stuff like, you should leave him so you can be happy. You ain't in love with him, because being in love with somebody is about sacrificing. It's an action. You're sacrificing for the betterment of someone else. That is what love is. Jesus Christ showed us what love is. Sacrificing himself for the betterment of somebody else. Not for somebody else's happiness, but for their betterment. That situation, if we're taking the way the first TikTok was set up. Now, mind you, the guy is filling in gaps that she didn't actually speak on. So we can only really speak on it from that perspective. She's more of an archetype than her exact situation, because she didn't say a lot of the stuff that we're commenting on. The TikToker who made the video is saying this is what happened. But in a situation like that, you're not sacrificing for him. And as soon as things got to a certain thing, you supposedly left. And according to the TikTok itself, she left trying to find better. And no. So
could it not be that she fell out of love with the person?
That's an appeal to an emotional part of love. That's the emotional part of love.
I understand that.
Now, this is where it gets complicated.
You can't really fall out of love with someone when you consider what love really is. When you start to consider that
fall out of being in love with them. You can still love them, but fall out of being in love.
You're still saying, I'm doing this because of how I feel. And I don't think any relationship should be subject to how someone feels. It doesn't. I think that that's a great way for things to fall apart, because guess what? Feelings are missing one major thing that makes it dangerous for feelings to dictate any part of a marriage. They lack logic.
True.
And that to me is a major problem. I don't think that any part of a marriage should be dictated based on how you feel. Do you have to consider feelings at certain times, like trying to make sure that somebody's okay because you got to worry about their mental health and stuff like that? Yeah, of course. I understand that. But your marriage is not dictated by that. That is a side consideration.
What if someone's, I'm just going down a rabbit hole. What if somebody's mental health is like just on the fritz because of their marriage?
Your marriage was held to be too high in your life. Your number one thing in your life should be purpose. And because most of us are not in purpose, we don't know what it looks like to be in purpose and to be busy doing what you're in purpose for, and to still have somebody at home that's not necessarily doing what it is they're supposed to be doing. We don't know what it looks like to go through that, because most of us don't know what it looks like to be in purpose in the first place. So a lot of us, if the marriage is bad, our life is bad. If you're in purpose, you're generally going to be happy, because the vast majority of our time is going to be spent in purpose, not with our wife or our husband. So that's one huge issue with the whole thing, is that most people are not in that situation. So they don't understand what it's like. Like when their marriage goes bad, everything goes bad, because most of us are not in purpose anyway.
True.
And so that becomes a part of the issue. One of the things that you should vet for when you're looking for a mate, you need to vet for somebody who is determined to have a great marriage. Not somebody who feels like they're just going to fall into a great marriage if you're the right person. Because those are the people who will overcome. What happens is you tend to see a lot of people who are determined to have great marriages matched with people who are just there because they fell in love, but were not necessarily determined to have a great marriage too. So you'll have the woman and sometimes the man standing there like, we can work this out. What do you mean? It's not the end. And you'll see the enthusiasm and the passion. They're determined to have a great marriage. And the other person is just like, nah,
No.
I just don't want to. Because they're not determined to have a great marriage. They're determined to be subject to how they feel about you. And you can't be subject to how you feel. It's a decision. You have to decide, I'm going to spend most of my time concentrating on the things I love about you and not the things I don't. Those are conscious decisions. Your feelings have to be subject to your conscious decisions and your logical side of your brain. They're not to control it.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, Mr. I was about to say your government name. Well, comment your thoughts down below and let us know what you think. And if you guys made it this far, go ahead and smash that subscribe button, turn your post notifications, and give us a thumbs up. So that way you can tell YouTube you appreciate what we're putting down.
What we're putting down.
Hey everybody, down in the description there are 2 links.
One is to a GoFundMe, and the other one is to a video that explains what the GoFundMe is for. Long story short, we have a medical situation with our daughter that we have to pay for everything out of pocket, and we could really use you guys' help. If you have the time, we'd love for you to go check it out. If you have the money, the funds, we'd love for you guys to help. If not, maybe you could send a link to somebody else who can help. We thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Press the off button.